motivation is the bedrock of will and work. Now, I'm not a philosopher, I'm just Consolato, Wanjiru from St. Hannah's, financially informed, proposing that incentivizing youth entrepreneurship through tax breaks should be our path to financial security. Now, what is an incentive? An incentive is a financial motivation, and in this case, it will be the tax breaks. However, an action fund, well, this is just sugar-coated programs that provide loans and additional programs such as saving plans for PT points. Now, if financial security is our aim, then definitely tax breaks hit the nail on the head. To begin, tax breaks play a role in the sustainability of small and medium youth enterprises. To start, they say, is hard. To sustain, even harder. Nowhere is it harder to sustain a business than in Kenya, where the taxes are at a record high. Now, I don't need to cite my source. After all, you all bear witness. Taxes in Kenya right now are pinching all of us from different sides. After all, you eat your bread with an extra coin. Now, imagine the same for businesses. Now, tax breaks are thus a breath of fresh air to the youth entrepreneurs. Unlike action funds that would eventually find a roundabout path to the government pockets, aka taxes. Furthermore, tax breaks promote creativity and innovation. We have said that tax breaks serve as a breath of fresh air to the youth entrepreneurs. Fueled with this newfound breath of fresh air, the youth are able to think and create, knowing that their financial burden has been reduced. This increases the productivity of the youth and simultaneously taps into their own uniqueness into the enterprise world, which is much needed right now to reduce the pressure on multiple markets. Unlike action funds, God knows where you would use the money for. Furthermore, the simplicity of tax breaks and their straightforwardness provide direct and easy support in businesses. Rather than throwing you into an endless maze of complexities, protocol, it gives you direct support. Time is short, even shorter for a business. No one has the time to be waiting for the endless processes of applying for an action fund. Now, with that reasoning, it should be common logic, if not common sense, that this tax breaks and incentivizing our youth entrepreneurs through tax breaks should be our path to financial security. I rest my case.
A house is only as strong as the foundation. So in order to give our youth a strong foundations for their lives, we believe that we need to attain and give them affirmative action funds. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why us as Team Opposition strongly negate and oppose this motion. You know what? Team Proposition came here and said that, you know what, but by use of tax breaks that they are hitting the nail on the head. Ladies and gentlemen, they are actually missing the nail, because I have a question. Yes, there are tax breaks. Yes, the tax are lower. But where are the youth getting the funds? The funds to even start these businesses. Let's remember what the motion states. We are trying to help these youth attain financial security. Financial security, this means we are trying to enable the youth to be able to be independent so that they can even attain the daily bread and they can even pay for rent. So if they can't already do this, how are they going to get enough money to raise funds for our business? Doesn't make sense. We have to understand that by us breaking down this tax breaks, by introducing tax breaks, we are not actually focusing our ideologies on the youth, but we are going to make the rich richer and the poorer poorer. Do we want this? No. We are striving to solve an SDG. And which SDG are we solving, guys? Who knows? Yes, equality. We are trying to bring about equality. And that is why that we are saying AFFs are the way to go. And how are we going to do this? First and foremost, by targeting specific people, targeted beneficiaries. We are going to allow and make sure that these funds reach people who are in need of them. We are also going to have criteria-based allocation. It's not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry who's going to get this fund. It's somebody who needs it and somebody who has an idea that can benefit the future and can benefit the people around. Yes, and then also, how are we going to offer these supports? Through grants and through loans. Grants, this means that these people won't have to pay them back. We are giving them the money and telling them, you know what, we believe in you. We believe that this idea that you have is going to change the lives of people around you and that you are going to create employment for the community at large. This means we are solving unemployment and we are also enabling the economies of countries to grow. Yes, and then also loans, we are going to put what? We are going to ensure that that the interest rates are low to zero because we are trying to promote growth. We are not trying to kill them. We are not trying to make the richer richer. We are trying to give a voice to the youth who do not have the voice, who do not have the funds to even provide for themselves basic needs. And then also, now this brings me to my major point, which is inclusivity that is brought about by use of AFL. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, we have something known as Uwezo. Yes, Uwezo Fund. They were able to reach over 500,000 beneficiaries. Yes, 500,000 beneficiaries. And this means they were able to give 5.6 billion to the youth. Yes. This means over 5.6 billion was distributed to the youth, people who had ideas, people who had passion to change, passion to bring about development. Not just any person. They did not give these funds to people who are already rich. They give these funds to people who actually needed it. We have to understand that tax breaks are so wide that they only promote or allow people who are rich to implement the ideas. Because ladies and gentlemen, yes, there's no tax. But where am I going to get the money to even start my business? Ladies and gentlemen, let us understand and let us look at this motion, and we will clearly realize that they have missed the nail and we are hitting the nail. And which nail are we hitting? The nail on the youth foundation and the youth's lives. Let's build a strong foundation for them. Thank you.
The ignorance is bliss. Nowhere is it greater in the opposing team. Now, my brother, what do you mean independence when your whole business depends on another? My name is Natasha Ruto and I'm here to propose the motion. Firstly, I'd like to ask you a question. Why plant a seed when you cannot even water it? First of all, tax breaks can be seen as fertilizers for sprouting new businesses. Tax breaks are a powerful incentive for starting of new businesses, more diverse businesses, and are uplifted like the digital market. It enables the youth to achieve financial security from different sources. This ultimately reduces the pressure in the market, due to the fact that there are other jobs, such as content creation, which many of us are familiar with. Secondly, the new businesses foster economic growth. This can be seen as financial security because one can take care of themselves. They don't need the government to offer them funds to continue growing their businesses, because affirmative action funds will grant you a loan to begin your business, but where will they be when you need to continue maintaining your business? That is why I stand with proposing the motion that states incentivizing youth entrepreneurship through tax breaks is a better way to achieve financial security for the youth in Kenya than through affirmative action funds. I rest my case.
One day the poor will become the poorest of the poor if we keep on giving them temporary solutions. We all know that. And it begs the question, is tax reduction a solution? Well, I'm here to strongly oppose that. It's not even a temporary solution. It can even be coined as a solution. That is why I strongly stand as the second speaker of team opposition to strongly oppose the motion that's been put forth. On to my rebuttals. The first speaker came up on stage and talked about tax reduction reducing financial burdens. But then it's clearly that my first speaker came up here and said, you know what, you could reduce the taxes of a particular country, you could reduce the taxes of a particular business, but then at the end of the day, how is it helping the individual? Because these people don't have the funds to start their businesses. We clearly identified the main problem, which was young youth entrepreneurs, not just any, but the ones who were suffering financially, the ones who lack insecurity. Going to my second rebuttal, which was stated by the second point by the second speaker, she questioned, how do you say that our business or our laws is dependent if your own business is dependent on other business? Now, for starters, I didn't get that. Because let me show you something. Did you know that SMEs contribute to about 24% of the country's GDP? Ladies and gentlemen, 24%. That means these small businesses owned by young entrepreneurs plays a major role in stimulating the economy. And how do we do this? By actually offering them affirmative action funds. Because SMEs play a major role in the business. Now, on to my first point, and which states that the thing is, if you have tax reduction, it only benefits the business, not the youth. In fact, IMF conducted a report and stated that large organizations, in fact, benefit from the tax reduction, unlike the young youth entrepreneurs, because our main idea is to put money into these people who need it. On to my second point, effectiveness and track record of action affirmative funds. Now, my first speaker here came and gave you a chock full of statistics, a chock full of evidence. And to add on that, I like to give another evidence known as YEDF, which is an action affirmative fund that since in its beginning, in 2006, it was able to garner about 500,000 youths, 500,000 minds, 500,000 people in its very beginning, and reallocated 7 billion Kenyan shillings. Can you imagine that? We're not only just solving unemployment, we're creating jobs and creating a future. And on top of that, we emphasize the mechanism, a strategy. And so I like to end, let's think of a solution, a real solution, and that's action affirmative funds. Thank you.
Thomas Sowell once said, "It is usually futile to try to talk facts and analysis to people who are enjoying a sense of moral superiority in their ignorance." Hence, I wouldn't understand why my fellow opposer would say that temporary solution when yours is barely a solution. Rather, had a hearing. When you knew you have a sustainable support system, the youth strive to acquire capital. I am Lavina, here to propose the motion that says, incentivizing youth entrepreneurship through tax breaks is a better way to achieve financial security in Kenya than through affirmative action funds. Tax breaks promote self-reliance and independence of businesses. If you remember, during the COVID pandemic, the government offered tax breaks, which helped businesses back on their feet, which is better than keeling over the knees begging for funds. Secondly, tax breaks lead to the reduction of overall expenditure that would have been used for action funds. Additional expenditure would have only come to backbite businesses in the form of tax. Alternatively, tax breaks promote the productivity of businesses, thus increasing the revenue earned. As I conclude, our proposer did not say that the tax break depends on other businesses. She said it depends on the loads. Check on your accuracy. And to the judges, think about my point. Thank you.
Kiremani from Nova Pioneer. My time starts in 3, 2, 1. Affirmative action funds are like an eggshell for a chick. When an egg is young, when a chick is young, what happens? There's a shell that's formed around it. Why? Because it can't stand on its own feet. But what happens when the egg hatches? When it can finally stand on its own feet, it breaks free. And that is what affirmative action funds strives to do. It strives to get these people off their feet and help them break free. Not to rely on these funds forever, but to use them as a start so that we can exacerbate an economically prosperous society. So when they came here and told us that we are making these companies rely on the affirmative action funds, I beg to differ, because we gave you countless statistics telling you how these people were able to benefit from these funds and even later on build on businesses. We told you 500,000 beneficiaries from the Uwezo Fund. Now, I'd like to pose a question that has been said by my previous speakers, but they seem to fail to answer, is where will these youth entrepreneurs get the initial capital to start their businesses? Where? Because if these people, the youth entrepreneurs, these are people who do not have the financial security, we are trying to help them. Where will they even start from? Because we're not trying to help that one youth who has a large amount of capital. No, he doesn't need our help. The person who needs help is that one entrepreneur who only has an idea but does not have the resources to capitalize this idea. Where will they get these resources? I hope they'll answer that question. But we came and told you that in our side of the motion, we target the vulnerable. We target the people who actually need these affirmative action funds. We tell you that for us to become an economically prosperous society, we have to address both sides, the rich and the poor. And today, the poor are the people who need these solutions. We gave you countless examples like the Uwezo Fund. Again, I have to stress this because it seems they do not understand. 500,000 people. That is not even the amount of people in this room, but look how many we are. Now imagine 500,000 people. Now imagine how much more or how many more people could benefit from these societies if we focused on this policy. And we came and gave you that we would have a criteria. So it's not simply just giving out funds to random people. We're giving out funds to people who will actually make a change. Because we're only giving out funds to people who will be viable for the people who are in need and also have ideas. Therefore, we know these funds are going to the right place. They're not going to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. We gave you a track record of affirmative action funds. We came and showed you funds such as the YDF and the Uwezo Fund, how they have impacted Kenyan youth and how much more they could do if our policy was adopted. But what have they done on their side? They've come here and made assertions that tax breaks would somehow bring benefits to the small businesses. But we see the people who will actually benefit from this are people who already have established businesses. These are not the vulnerable people. Because how will a vulnerable youth who does not even know what a credit card is be able to capitalize from the tax incentives? Someone who doesn't know how to file their own taxes. This is the vulnerable youth we are talking about. That is why today we have presented you a pool of economic inclusion, targeted efforts, and an inclusive society. It would be foolish not to dive in. Thank you.
Rather hard of hearing, I see. You keep asking where they would find these funds to start the businesses, like I said. When you know you have a sustainable support system, which is the tax breaks, the youth strive to acquire capital for their businesses, and then the tax breaks just support them. Now, this is what you refer to financial independence and security. The start is the most important part of a business. To have it keel over at the hands of someone begging for money is absolutely insane. Now, tax breaks solve the underlying issue, which is the lack of financial independence in businesses. If you were to see, they say that this loans that they acquire is only to start the business, but only if they knew that many businesses fall over because of the lack to pay, because of their inability to pay the loans that they have asked for. Now, following this reasoning, it will be ridiculous not to support.
My mom used to tell me a scripture that says, my people die due to the lack of knowledge. Well, in this debate, I'd like to say the youth's ideas and beliefs and their businesses die due to the lack of funding and the lack of appropriate look into their businesses and into their ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, they came here and they said that, how are we sure that these people are going to use their money right? I have a question. If you have an idea, if you have a business, if you have been struggling to meet your ends, if you are struggling with financial security, if you get money, you are going to focus on making it grow so that you can become stable. The same way my third speaker said that you are a chick and we are trying to break you free out of your shell. Ladies and gentlemen, let's understand that in order for us to solve the SDG for equality, the only way we can do this is to make and empower the poor, not make the rich richer. By us using tax breaks, we are actually being lied to, because tax breaks are going to be used by people who already have money, not the youth who are trying to get money to bolster or make their ideologies come into place. No! If you have money and the tax breaks go lower, you are going to benefit. But if I don't have money, nothing's going to happen. Nothing is going to change. Ladies and gentlemen, let's strive for equality. Let's make the poor become rich. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this heated debate. A round of applause for our judges. And also a round of applause to both teams on stage. And I'm also eager to know the judges' comments. So judges, hit us up.
Thank you. That was a good debate, St. Hannah and Nova Tatu boys. Now, to my comments. First, I think both of you had prepared for this debate. The issue was with the delivery. Eddie Francis, let me start with the proposers. Consolata Wanjiru, that was, you debated well, but I did not see sources. So next time when you're debating, please give us your sources. We need to know where you're getting your points from. You also did well. You did well by relating the topic to the happenings that are more familiar with the audience. That was good. Just be careful about being too general when you are debating. Natasha Ruto, stage presence, you have that, and that was good. And you also had a very powerful beginning. Good background. However, time management. You left the stage a little bit too early. So next time, prepare well and you will not have a challenge of using the time you have been given.
Thank you to both teams. That was a good debate. To the proposing team, I'll give general comments. You have good debaters. Maybe what I can note among the three of you, you need to organize your points better so that you have a coherent argument, so that you don't get those instances where you leave stage early or you feel as if you are stammering or such kind of situations. It's because you've not organized your points well. So that's why you prepare well for your debate. On your end, I believe, Consolata, you are a very good debater. You really need to just work on that. You organize your thoughts. To the opposing team, very confident debaters, the three of you. You came in, all of you are very passionate, good communicators. The only thing I would check on some of these things when you're giving examples is citing sources. When you give something like 5.6 billion absorbed by Wezo Fund affecting or benefiting 500,000 youths, where do we get this from? What's the source? When you talk about something like even YDF, what is YDEF? Don't assume that everybody knows. The SME data that 24% of X. So you need to cite those sources so that you can be able to authenticate. Otherwise, that was a good debate. We saw that both teams mastered the topic well. So all the best.